Oh, what the hell? Let's talk about some preseason football here, shall we? First, we got to address what happened when Brandon Boykin got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers for a conditional 6th round pick that can be as high as a 4th round pick. Once again, something is said that brings out the old Chip is a racist talk again. Brandon, after being traded, was interviewed and he said something along the lines of, he gets the honest feeling that Chip doesn't understand our culture, and he used the phrase our culture. And again, what you can infer from that is, with Brandon being a black guy, his culture being black people, is that Chip doesn't understand black people, therefore Chip is a racist, and here we go again with this shit. Here we go again. Now, Brandon later clarified his statement and said that he felt that he was taken a bit out of context or whatever, and just said how Chip is just the type of guy where he's very unrelatable to on a personal level. He's, he's not your guy, buddy, and I'm not your buddy guy type of person. And I can understand there being an honest level of discomfort from that end, in that Chip probably isn't the type of guy that's going to, have a bullshit type conversation with you, like saying, like, hey, what kind of car are you driving these days, or how's that girl you're dating, did you put a ring on her finger yet? Just bullshitting, the general casual conversation type shit. And frankly, I can understand both sides of this, because I gotta ask myself, if my employer, my boss, just never talked to me just about either anything personal in his life, or asked me stuff about my personal life, or just, how are things going besides my physical job in the company, it would be kind of weird, and there would be a level of uncomfortableness with that. So I can understand how players Andy Reid, I've seen him bullshit with players and just talk about this or that, and just try and be the buddy type guy. And you go from him to him, and Brandon Boykin is an Andy Reid guy. I can see how, people are uncomfortable with someone that basically is a football robot, and that's what Chip is. And that leans to the other side of this scene, how Brandon, he's not there to be your friend. He's there to be your coach. He's there to be your instructor of football knowledge and skill. What do you care if he's asking you about the wife and kids and where you went on vacation this summer? It doesn't matter. He's there to make you a better football player. Who cares if he doesn't relate to you on a personal level? So I get it from both ends. I can understand it from both ends. I get it from both ends. My goodness, that's a little bit too much information I just revealed. Anyway, Undertaker Freak knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, I can understand how the locker room feels that, this guy really only cares about us from a football end of things. But I'd honestly say he cares about what you do in your personal life as well, because, I think that's ultimately what got Deshaun kicked off on the team, whether it was, wrong allegations or whatnot. I think that weighed heavily into Chip's decision to get rid of Deshaun. So the external factors absolutely weigh into how Chip conducts business. But this whole thing with racism and, that being brought up again, and him not understanding the black culture and all that shit, is so ridiculous, so ludicrous, because you can make as much of an argument that he is racist against white athletes, white players, NFL players, as he is against blacks. Because, for every LaShawn McCoy, Deshaun Jackson, Jeremy Maclin that he let go from the team, there's a Todd Hermans, Evan Mathis, a Nick Foles. You got just those three alone. You got 2 starting O-linemen, 2 Pro Bowlers, and your Pro Bowl quarterback. Let them go. Oh, what the hell, man? Does he not like white athletes? What's going on here? Why did he bring in Sproles? Why did he bring in Matthews? Why did he bring in any number of players? Just pick and choose what you want here. It's ridiculous. And last I checked, isn't DeMarco Murray black? Isn't that the guy that replaced the other guy named Shady McCoy that was accusing the coach of being racist? Yet you're replaced by 2 black guys at that, with Mathis Matthews and Murray. But anyways, it's ridiculous. Oh, if you want further proof, here's a picture of the 2015 draft class. Oh, racist! Clearly a racist. Oh. Anyways, drafted 5 black players and 1 white player. He's clearly a racist. Anyways, it's just ridiculous, and I'm tired of hearing this being talked about. Just every time a black player gets cut, traded, whatever, we're going to have to hear this. Simply because Riley Cooper's kept on this team. When you look down deep into it, it later turned out, earlier this year, it was released that Michael Vick and Jason Avant, 2 black players on the team, went to bat for Riley Cooper to keep him on this team 3 years ago because they thought he deserved a second chance and Chip Kelly wanted to get rid of him. Now, Chip Kelly has a chance to get rid of him now. I think he should. But you know what? He fits the mold of what Chip Kelly wants, of that big, tall receiver that can smash guys in the mouth, but necessarily can't catch the friggin' ball. But anyway, the whole Chip Kelly racism shit, it all stems from Riley Cooper, and it's almost as if Chip is going to be stubborn about even cutting Riley Cooper because that would almost be seen as kowtowing to the criticism. And Chip Kelly is so stubborn that I don't think he wants to do that. I think he'd rather waste a roster spot than make it look like he listened to all the criticism and gave in. That's just my guesstimation of what's going on, because the guy can't catch the ball. And he's a big white boy that should be pulling down red zone points left and right. Anyway. So, Brandon Boykin's gone now. A whole other issue from Brandon Boykin being traded is that you're down a corner and you have no depth at that position. No depth to the point that you now have to rely on unproven talent to come off the bench and start at corner now. Brandon Boykin, he was our slot cover guy. Like, he was the slot cover guy because Chip didn't trust him with his short height in terms of NFL players, and didn't want him to have to go run to the corner to do post-up routes or something like that to knock a ball down. So he kept him primarily in on slot plays, slot coverage. And now you're going from a guy that at least has 3 years of NFL playing time to guys off the bench that you don't know how they're going to be, and you've got as much of a question mark coming in the bench behind them. You get an injury at corner this year, just count the corners out. I mean, I do feel confident in that you have Malcolm Jenkins and you have Vernon Maxwell now in that secondary to shore up things, that this secondary isn't going to be as much of a joke as it was last year, but it's far from a formidable foe, and weakening it by getting rid of a starting corner, or, well, I guess he kind of more split time last year, but you're going with unproven over what's proven. A guy that Brandon Boykin had, was it like 6-7 interceptions just 2 seasons ago? You know, it's a guy that can at least pick balls. Last I checked, he basically sealed that Week 17 game against Dallas in Dallas and picked the ball off at the end of the game to get the Eagles into the playoffs. Anyway, just a lot. There's so much happening. I'm still optimistic for this season. Another thing that's happening right now is that Sam Bradford is rumored to be in contract discussions with the Eagles. And to have him re-sign right now, I, one, necessarily don't understand why the Eagles would do this, and two, don't understand necessarily why Sam Bradford would do this. Because you figure it would be in Bradford's best interest to prove that he can play and put up big numbers, and then become that free agent commodity that, because frankly, no one really wants to overinvest in him right now. The only way he's going to get overinvestment type money is if he proves he can play. If he signs a contract right now, it's not going to be an overinvestment type contract. It's going to be a structured, slimmed down starting quarterback type. Like, he ain't going to get money like Russell Wilson is right now. There's no way in hell he'd be lucky to get half of that. By the way, I wouldn't have ever signed Russell Wilson. On a side note to the Seahawks, that much cap room and make him the second highest paid quarterback in the league. Yeah, I don't see it, because now you got Cam Chancellor going. Where's my money? Where's my money? And then before you know it, no cap room. Oh, time to cut you, Cam. Who wants him? Anyway, it's... I honestly would just let Bradford play out this year. I know the other end of it is, well, if you lock him up and he does prove to be a quarterback that can manage to not get injured, it's a good arm, it's a good instinct quarterback, you know, he's got his running back buddy from Oklahoma in the backfield now with him. I get all that, but at the same time, he's not someone I would bet and invest on for years to come until he proves he can. Again, you may pay more, and frankly, the Eagles don't have good cap room to sign a big-time quarterback like that, and what would they do after this year? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. But I feel just as much uncertain as if they had Sam Bradford going into next year as well. Even if he played healthy, I'd be like, any day now, he's going to re-tear something, and anyway. Any quarterback can get injured at any time. I know that, blah, blah, blah. I know someone's going to chime in with that. Any player could get hurt, blah, blah, blah. Anyways. All in all, I feel good about this team. Do I feel they're a Super Bowl caliber team? Obviously not. Are they better than last year? Yeah, I do honestly think they are. But there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of question marks that are either going to make this an 11-win team or a 6-win team, because frankly, that's where I could see them finishing with 11 wins, and I could just as easily see them finishing with 6 wins this year. But only time will tell. That's why we watch this shit. That's why I raise my blood pressure sometimes on a Thursday, Sunday, Monday, and another stupid Saturday game this year against the Redskins. Goddamn, I hate Saturday football. Anyway, that's our little preseason update here for the Eagles and Chip's racism and all this other shit and blah, blah, blah. And Chip doesn't understand the black culture. And oh, one other thing. If Chip is such a racist, why did he keep Michael Vick on this team his first year? Because he didn't have to pick up the option to keep Vick here in the first year. That's not only a black man, but that's a convicted felon. That's terrible culture, and he's black. Oh my goodness. No racist would want that guy on the team, but yet Chip Kelly optioned to have him stay around for another year. Quite interesting that such a racist would do such a thing. Anyway, all those of us with a proper functioning brain who aren't going by the name of Stephen A. Smith understand that Chip Kelly is not a racist. And black players get cut as well as white players, but God forbid you point out the white players that get cut on this team and get thrown to the curb, Pro Bowl talent that gets traded away or just cut or not renewed. God forbid you address that, or God forbid you address the draft that had 5 black players and 1 white player this year. What a racist. Anyways, have a good day, everyone, and boy, we're one day closer to football. One day closer to football. Fuck the Dallas Cowboys. Have a good day, everyone.